Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. Almost said special edition because it's not just myself. Hello, my name is Joe Kuzma, and if you're new around these parts, you may not know this fella here next to me on this program. It's been a minute, but he's looking around. I'm talking about you, Brian. What's going on?
Me?
My friend.
Oh, hey. Me.
Brian E.
Yeah,
Roach.
hey.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing, man. What are you thinking?
How you doing? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great. I've been very busy.
I know. We've been saying that on the show. In fact, you've probably been so busy you haven't listened to I've been doing my Triumph the Insult Comic Dog routine. No, I actually haven't been, but I've still been making fun of you.
Please don't do that.
For me to poop on. But you know one thing I'm not going to poop on? I'm not going to poop on. I'm going to get right to it, man.
Okay.
We don't really have an agenda. See, Zach, he likes being prepared. We pride ourselves on
that's just wrong.
There's no topics bar here tonight, folks. Okay? There's no agenda. There's no bullet points. We're just gonna talk football. We're talking ball. Like if I get Zach outside of now, mind you, not the professor, although he could wing it. We're talking about Flash here. Flash, he needs rigid structure as a young man. But you and I, the seasoned vets, I think we could just wing it.
You should not use, considering the tweet that he tweeted either earlier today or yesterday. Don't use the term rigid near him. Please.
Well, my friend, I think I haven't gotten to speak with you much during this free agency period. And I know you could be as opinionated as anyone else. So I'd like to get some of your opinions. Maybe you know what? We want to just go through. I think we'll go through the position groups real quick. I think that's the easiest way to knock this out, and just discuss quarterback. We're happy. This might be the last time that we talked. The Steelers don't have all this crazy quarterback drama that everybody else does, and this is a good thing. So, happy. No, they haven't done anything with quarterbacks. In fact, we could probably go through quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight ends, really, for the most part. They haven't touched any of these skill position groups. Like with the offense, it's been almost all just offensive line. But quarterback, we were expecting maybe a move with Mitch. Mason Rudolph remains unsigned. They don't have a third quarterback that hopefully, knock on wood, you don't want to see anyways. You cool with the way quarterback is played out thus far with this regime?
I don't have a problem with it. I would have been fine with cutting Mitch and freeing up that space. But at the same time, I think I said this earlier, I'm also fine with keeping him. And having the, at least somewhat known quantity there. I will be fine if Mason can't find a home and he decides to come back here.
Yeah.
As the third quarterback. I don't have a problem with any of that. I did not expect them to make a big move at the quarterback position anyway. Why would they? So I think there is a reasonable chance they draft a quarterback deep in this draft and have that person be the next groomed backup. Not to be a guy that takes Kenny Pickett's place, not to be Kenny's heir apparent, none of that nonsense, right? This is just, if they draft a quarterback, it's a guy that's designed to learn the system and just sit there and be the backup. So I'm not upset with the way the quarterback's run out. What did they do at running back? Nothing. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Well, hold on. Let me go back to quarterback real quick. And like you were saying late, because I mentioned something on the last show and somebody had mentioned in the comments, they were like, oh, I didn't mean to insult your intelligence. No, I didn't feel insulted at all, but I'm glad, like, most of the people are very civil in the comments. At least for now.
Now that I'm back, that'll change.
Yeah,
if I'm here,
probably.
I'm sure that civility is going to go right out the window.
Well, I'd mentioned something about I'd mentioned late 5th, 6th round picks or something. And they'd mentioned, well, Joe, the Steelers don't have a 5th or 6th round pick. I said, not yet. Very strong possibility with the way we've seen Andy Weidl coming off of the learning tree of the Philadelphia Eagles and the way they stockpile picks. But we've seen even Kevin Colbert move back into or move up and, move around or whatever, or they trade a player. Maybe they trade a player. Maybe Mitch gets traded. You never know. And
never know.
You never know. There could be something
Kevin
where
Dotson could get traded.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. Somebody, wow, I never really thought of that one. That's a deep cut, man. That's a deep cut. If you could get something for Kendrick Green, I would say trade him. But then again,
you can't get cut grass for Kendrick Green now.
I think if Edwards listening, Ed, man, I love your messages. Keep them coming, but man, you can't get a draft pick for everyone. It's just not possible. There's certain guys, it's just not going to happen.
As a Steelers fan for 27 years, I can tell you that doesn't happen.
So, but the first round pick 17, 2 second round picks, the first overall pick of the second round, which could be maybe listed as 32 or 33, depending on which list you're looking at and whether or not the Dolphins is in there.
It'll be the
49.
32nd player taken.
Yes, 49. That's why I said first pick of the second round. Pick 49, pick 80. So there's a lot of good picks there. And then 120, and then they don't come back around on the horn again until 234 and 241. So
that last day of the draft's going to be a drag for a long period of time.
It's going to matter. If they do the draft party thing, that's like they don't have anything to announce.
Right.
They don't have anything to announce.
We have to see if we're going to go, right? I mean, we sometimes go to that.
Yeah.
The Fan Fest last year. Did we go last year?
Yeah. Well, I came in extremely late to it because I was coaching my daughter's soccer team. We had like a 10 o'clock or something, 11 o'clock game, and then had to coast
think about
over
that. Forgot all about Fan Fest. I have to think about that.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to keep it in mind, too. You were talking about doing something live from there. I'm like, we would have been talking about Chris Oladokin, and that's pretty much what you're thinking of if they add somebody else. But the move would have been if they would have done something with Mitch Trubisky yet. And then it's not maybe necessary at this time. There's going to be some wheeling and dealing going on during the draft, I think, with a lot of teams. Running back, you're absolutely correct. What do they have to do there? Najee Harris, I'm going to get some hate mail over that one. Jaylen Warren emerged. Still got Anthony McFarland on futures contract, I believe. Master Teague on a futures contract, I believe. Benny Snell's floating around out there in space. They could add another body, draft or otherwise, veteran player. Even bring Snell back if they so felt inclined to, although I don't think they would. And
probably not, no.
Nah, you know what? After you've already had a guy for like 3-4 years and it hasn't worked out, you move on. It's nothing personal. It's part of the business. Plus, they not a lot of money, but they still get more money as a veteran minimum than say like a 7th round pick or something, or another 4th round pick in the future. And I keep mentioning too, you got USFL's coming up, XFL's still in progress, and these players are going to become available for NFL teams to sign. So there's a lot of NFL teams that may have already been stacked up to 80 some players, 85 players, and then they make some other trimmings here or there. A lot of teams hovering in there at 65, 70 to probably add maybe 5 to 10 names off of those type of street. And also those street free agents aren't available like they were before too, because of these spring leagues. So, but yeah, I think something will happen there. Wide receiver, we're going to do me and Flash are going to do a whole show on this, so I don't want to not necessarily glossing over it, but at the same time,
I will just give you my take. I think they will sign some vet wide receiver. That's my whole take. At some point, whether it's immediately after the draft, whether it's sometime in between now and then, they will add a veteran to the room because the room is pretty young, but it's not going to be some flashy, super name and that anybody's really going to care about.
No, Odell Beckham Jr.
No, it's not going to be Odell
Beckham Jr. No, Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. Dan Orlovsky is just his willingness to become a thing, and it's just like no one. It's that meme where it's like no one, and it's blank, and then it's like Dan Orlovsky with the picture of
Odell. It's Nodell Beckham Jr. Nodell.
Yeah, and I know so far it doesn't sound like we got a whole lot of anything that Omar Khan's done to be called best offseason moves, but we're getting there. But wide receiver wise, it's like, okay, right now, probably draft. I mean, they didn't move on from Gunner yet.
I'm sure they'll draft one.
Steve Sims left. Miles Boykin's still floating around out there. They did sign Anthony Miller who got hurt last year with the IR or whatever. But I mean, when you got Deontay Johnson, you've got George Pickens, you don't have to add a whole lot to this just yet, nor do they have to spend a whole lot of money at this position. You float over to tight end. You've already got Pat Freiermuth. This is what getting those skill position players were. You and I talked about this over the last several years when Ben was still playing quarterback. That's like, okay, you've got the guys that are maybe going to help him at the tail end of his career, and then you've got the guys that are going to help the next guy, you know?
Yep.
And we're going through all of them. And Zach Gentry, we still haven't seen the official word, but there's been reports that said he is being re-signed by the Steelers. They got Connor Hayward. So that group's in pretty good shape as well. You jump over to the offensive line, and this is where you start talking about
now you start to have some fun.
Yeah,
now the best you can start to have some fun.
We were excited about Nate Herbig, although I was my trepidation, right?
Boy, is that young man too eager and too happy. He just loves the game of football.
It reminds me,
he just loves it.
Were you a fan or watched the television show Lost?
I will tell you, I watched the first season of Lost, thought it was fantastic. Loved it. Thought it was great. Watched the first 2 episodes of the second season. Went, this is dumb.
Oh, come on. It doesn't get really dumb until like, I don't know. Maybe that is when it started to get dumb and fall off the rails.
This is dumb. It's just dumb.
That's another one of those.
I don't know how many seasons it got through, but it was just dumb. I was like, what? No,
6 or 7, I think. There's probably some real big like Lost addict that's like, no, it was exactly 46 episodes or something like that. But no, Nate Herbig reminds me of Hurley on that show. The guy who won with the lottery number.
Oh, yeah, I know who that guy is.
Yeah, the curly hair and everything. That's what he reminds me of. But
it looks like they're about in the same shape, too.
Yeah, with rounds of shape. My holding back on getting too excited about free agent signings was, okay, anybody could probably be an upgrade over Kendrick Green or possibly even Kevin Dotson. But I'm like, is this guy like the actual starter material? Or are we drinking too much of the Andy White?
Oh, no, he's your swing. He's your backup.
Well, we know that now because the later move being Isaac Seumalo. Now that
I'm letting you say his name. I'm not even trying to say his name.
Grown-ass man. Just say the grown-ass man formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
And you say which one?
He is a grown-ass man. Yes, that's right. But now you got some stuff to be pumped up about. A middle of the line of Isaac Mason and James Daniels. That's some good stuff right there. I like that. That makes me happy.
That's rock hard, baby.
I didn't say that. I'm old. I don't have those kind of problems anymore. I just say, it makes me happy.
Well, what about blue pills, man? The blue pills.
Look, I'm gonna tell you, these are the only blue pills I take.
What the hell is that?
It's for nerve pain in your feet because I'm old.
Oh, I feel for you. I remember I was discussing this years ago. We were at the mall in Robinson over at one of the TSC things. I remember.
Oh, wait, here's another blue pill I take.
Well, I don't know what that is, and you got to describe this for the people that are listening and not watching.
Noon is a thing you put in your water and it makes it fizzy, and you drink it after you work out.
Oh, okay, yeah,
or run or hike or whatever. Electrolytes, and
Neo, Mayo, whatever.
Yeah, that kind of crap.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah. But no sugar. This has no sugar in it. I like.
I'm not sure if those actually have the sugar in it. The little packets. The little packets.
I don't know. I don't like
the red
sugar.
Hawaiian Punch.
Sugar I'm out on.
I could do like see, they got crazy names for the Hawaiian Punch flavors too. I just know the red, and then there was like, well, there's a blue, and then there's like a teal one, and there's like all these, and they got different names like Typhoon Blue or something. And
this should not be a blue beverage. I'm just saying.
Oh well, they got the blue milk in Star Wars.
Well, that's sci-fi. It's a different thing,
But it's in a galaxy
far away.
Go. Yeah.
Long time ago. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about offensive line again, because I'm psyched about the offensive line. I really want to talk about.
But it's got you excited enough.
It's got me excited. I'm excited for this. I think. Look, I know we've talked about tackle. I know that people still think the Steelers are going to target a tackle, and I think that they probably will. The question being where in the draft, but the thing is, when you have strength in the middle of the line, it actually helps the rest of the line. Chooks and Dan Moore could be better simply because they have more strength in the middle. This is a line that's starting to be built up to hurt people, and I enjoy that. That makes me. I'm not saying what you said. It makes me happy.
It flips your trigger. It tickles your pickle. It floats your boat. Whatever you want to say. Somalo, 60 starts. He's been in the league here 7 seasons already. He's 29. His birthday is one day after mine, Brian, October 29th. So he'll be 30 season, which can still be young for an offensive lineman.
Can be.
6'4".
I mean, look,
6'4", 303. 6'4", 303.
Yeah.
Road grader, and a guy that's apparently going to be missed from all the things you see or read with any of the Eagles press.
And I've heard a lot about it because I'm out there. I'm right outside of Philly, so it's there have been people who have been talking about it. Look, there's risk involved with this guy because he's had some injuries, but I think he passed his physical. It's all good. You just go from there. And I'm going to be optimistic about it because if he is in good shape, if he is healthy, it's an upgrade. It's not just a little upgrade either. It's a big upgrade.
Oh yeah, he was largely regarded as the best guard available in this free agent class, interior offensive lineman. And the Steelers may still be looking of these visits and some of the guys they're having dinner with and the pro days and whatnot that we're really going to get deep into starting next week, heading into, now we're running the bases to the draft, got kind of an idea what they might target. But I don't know, tackle, are they really, like, it seems like they're kind of all over the place. They are looking at centers too, so it's hard to say if Mason Cole's job's even safe with they just went, John Michael Schmitz, I think it was. They just
they're going to do their due diligence because there's going to be guys available down there at 80 and 120 that they're going to have to take a hard look at. If they go tackle, I think they do it somewhere before 80. If they don't, they don't. And I think it all will depend on what they see as the value at this position they're drafting at. If there is a stud tackle that is there and has fallen for whatever reason, I think they might grab him. And if they don't, I think they're going to grab a tackle at 17? I don't. But I think 32 is a good potential landing spot for one.
Let's talk about that. How long ago was it that we said they last drafted? Was that Marvell Smith?
477 years ago.
Before the existence of contact sports.
Before sports existed.
Except for Greco-Roman wrestling.
Throwing, whatever.
Maybe golf. Maybe golf's been around that long. But yeah.
It's not a contact sport.
474 years ago it probably was.
Listen, dude, golf, and this is going to get me some hate. This will fire up the comment. Golf is barely a damn sport. Okay.
You know what? It's kind of funny because I was bowling the other day, and I'm not a bowler by any means. No, I'm actually freaking terrible at it. I'm not so great at golf either because the clubs are too short for my 6'5" frame. I never had a custom set made, so I just never really got into it. Not to disparage it, but it seems like those individual sports are always the ones that, if it's not a team sport, people are pretty much like crapping all over it. Golf, bowling.
Well, let me just bowling. I'm okay with bowling. Why? Because it's a big ball that you could throw at people in the lanes. So I'm okay with bowling. I know, and plus,
bowling
you're bowling. You're trying to kill pins. When I bowl, I want to break a pin. That has been my goal my entire life. All I want to do is break a damn pin. So there's violence in bowling. I like it. There's no violence in golf. I don't care how hard you hit the stupid little white ball. There's no violence. Now, a buddy of mine, we're totally off topic, but I'm going to go down this road anyway. He comes up to me the other day and he said, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to go play, disc golf today. I'm like, play disc golf. It's like, so you're going to throw frisbees at a damn pole. And he's like, no, they're called discs. I'm like, it's a frisbee.
It is a frisbee.
It's a frisbee.
I know someone that was really hardcore. There's like leagues and stuff for it, man.
Disc golf.
The new one's pickleball too. Like, do you do the pickleball?
I don't even know what the hell that is.
Yeah, it's let's not get into it.
Okay.
It's whatever.
I had to tell him I said, so what you're doing is you're just going to go be lazy for an afternoon, which is fine. If you're entertained by disc golf, that's fine. Go play. But don't tell me it's this big sport thing that you're going out to do, and I'm going to be so exhausted after throwing my disc around. Yeah, whatever.
Well, the only thing that gets you exhausted with golf is if one, you actually carry your bags, which even as a youth when I was playing, I had a wheeled cart thingy apparatus for my golf bag, and then drinking out of the back of the cart. So those are the only things that'll really alcoholic beverages, adult beverages.
The guy who carries the bag actually gets more of a workout than the guy who's golfing.
You don't have a caddy if you're like me or you playing golf, though.
I used to caddy. My brother used to caddy.
I've helped on occasion. My one good friend, actually, that's how he used to make his livings during the summer at the country clubs. It was pretty cool. Mike, by the way, Mike Adams, the last tackle, probably taken the highest, 2012, over 10 years ago, pick 56 overall. Marcus Gilbert, the year before that, 2011, pick 63, and this is the reason you've been bringing this up for many years. I'm going to keep going down the list. Craig Urbick, pick 79, and let me see, what year was Urbick? 2009. Let me see who else we got here. Trey Essex, 93rd overall, 2005. Max Starks, 75 in 2004. Let's see. Kendall Simmons, 2002. He doesn't count. Guard. Man, I'll tell you, Marvell Smith, pick 38. Second round of the year 2000. Yeah. So I was right. Marvell Smith. It had to be. I'm still going through. 98. They took a guy, Chris Conrad, 66th overall. Paul Wiggins, 1997, 82 overall. Anybody remember Paul? Jermaine Stevens, last time they had a first rounder. Here we go. Pick 29, 1996. And I want to say, hold on. We've got maybe one more. Leon Searcy. That's who I was going to say.
Oh, yeah. Big Leon. Okay.
As also a former Jacksonville Jaguar, 11th overall in 1992. And that is from the Cower area on through Mike Tomlin's era. 2 first-round picks, and they were both taken 92 and 96. Not very many, not even like top 50 picks in that whole list, except for Marvell Smith.
Not what they do. They just don't. It's very rare.
And it doesn't matter. It's not like that's all Kevin Colbert regime either. That's just the way that. If they ever given out big contracts to an offensive tackle, really?
That I think I can't remember any time. Alejandro Villanueva was probably one of the bigger contracts they ever gave to an offensive tackle.
Big but not big is not like the. Is that a top 10 NFL contract even?
No, it's
at the
not.
Position.
They're not breaking banks on those things for sure.
No, it's odd because they will put that money into the guys that have to beat the tackles like a drum, like TJ Watt, Woodley, Harrison, go down the list for years and years. They know the guys that get after the quarterback, but the guys that protect them off the edges, forget it. Seventh round pick will suffice there. So Dan Moore, your job very well may be safe because the Steelers their third and fourth round. This is what Ben Roethlisberger would call being cheap.
That's exactly right. And to be
because
fair,
they spend it everywhere else.
Yes. That's an area. It's not a position that they have traditionally placed high value on. And again, as we've seen, things change. They've been very active so far this offseason. They've done a lot of stuff. You never know. Maybe Andy Weidel and maybe Omar Khan place a higher priority on a tackle than regimes of the past.
I was wondering.
Very possible. Look, here's the thing. Unless you're getting the guy in the draft, and I'm not. The more I look at these guys, I don't know if there is the guy. I know everybody is in love with the Northwestern kid, but I agree with you in your criticism of the one mock, and I don't really care. I drafted him because he was there, and I had 1 million picks. But I agree. He's probably a guard and not a tackle in the NFL. He might play a little right tackle at some point, but I think he ends up a guard. So then, it's Paris Johnson. It's the Georgia kid. It's the the other guy. I can't remember where he's from. Tennessee, maybe. I don't remember.
Broderick
Oklahoma.
Jones from Georgia.
Yeah, Broderick Jones from Georgia.
Anton Harrison.
And then DeJuan Jones, also a Buckeye.
The other Ohio State guy, yeah.
Look, there's going to be one of those guys at 32. There could be one of those guys at 49. Not Paris Johnson, not Broderick Jones, but one of the other two could fall that far. It's possible. So the earliest I see them taking a tackle is 32. I just think they're going to put a higher priority on a much bigger skill position at 17 than they are going to be on a tackle. That's my gut feeling.
Yeah, I totally feel it. They're looking at wide receivers too. They could go defense. I think a defensive back, it might be. That's where everybody was originally.
I think they're going to go. I haven't wavered off of that. I think they're going to draft a defensive back.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone was before free agency. They're all in love with Joey Porter Jr. And it seems like all of a sudden that's dissipated.
Some of us still are.
They're going to go get Dan Moore's replacement. I'm like, man, they might not even draft like a dude. Like they might get another 4th round tackle that's going to be like Dan Moore or worse. You know what I mean? And again, like you said, and we've said many times before, it's not to say that I have some confidence still that Dan Moore is an adequate enough player.
Yes.
Because having had 5 different guards start next to him, and then we don't know exactly how good or bad Kevin Dotson was last year. And did they have anybody else they could really put there to find out? And if people stick on things from like the preseason, you know what I mean? They see somebody get beat or something like that. And it's like, okay, he had Kendrick Green next to him because Kendrick Green, imagine what I'm about to say, but in the context of knowing it the way we know it now. Kendrick Green was competing with Kevin Dotson for his starting job last summer. Yeah,
he was.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time on his butt too.
Yeah, he sure did. I mean, so yeah, I agree with you. Everybody thinks that Skoronski's a generational player, but there's more than enough of them that feel shorter arms and whatnot that he's going to play guard rather than tackle. And it looks like the Steelers are 100% set. I mean, if they go after a center on top of all of this, where do you think Mason Cole is going to play now? They're going to be overloaded with their interior offensive line and their guards and stuff.
If they draft a center, it'll be lower in the draft. It'll be 49, 80, or 120. And if they do, he sits a year behind Mason.
Yeah, and what you say before when we were talking about centers a couple of years ago, it was very rare for the year that they actually took Kendrick Green for like 4, maybe even 5 to go in the top 100. It's usually 3.
Yeah.
So they very well could be somebody sitting there with that 3rd round pick that they just plucked right off that roster.
I kind of like the idea of maybe at 80 they take the kid from North Dakota State.
Hey, I'm not going to disagree with that whatsoever. I'm going to be pretty much happy with whatever they do in the draft because they're in some really great positions to get the best player available.
I'm not saying what Zach said, but he's right. Let's just put it this way: they have flexibility.
They do. They have flexibility. I mean, we're just going to be sitting there tortured. It's going to be nice to have that top pick of the 2nd round. Yeah. And have to wait overnight through the next day and talk about all of the great players that are available and which one are they going to take. And they're going to have like a dozen or so picks go by and then get another one, baby. That's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast.
Fun. And like, to tie this back to the show title, what do I think Omar Khan's best offseason move is doing the things he did to set them up with complete freedom in the draft. They don't have to do anything.
Correct.
They are not in a position right now where they must draft X type player at this pick. They can pick who they feel is the best value. If they need defensive line help, which they clearly do need defensive line depth for moving forward. Right. So if they do, and I love the Larry Ogunjobi thing. Love it. I'm ecstatic. I'm thrilled beyond thrilled that they got that done.
Is that the best move? Is that his best move? I between Somalo and probably bringing Larry Ogunjobi back, I think they are, because I think both sides of the trench is desperately needed an anchor like both of those guys.
I think that those are probably the 2 best moves. I mean, look, the Patrick Peterson signing doesn't move the needle a lot for me. I like it. I think more than anything else, it signals that they're going to look to find a young defensive back that can be groomed and isn't going to be forced to have to start right away. But it doesn't make me go, woohoo, that's their guy. And I get it. It's, a la Joe Hayden being signed or pulled in late in his career. I hope Patrick Peterson has more than 2 years left, and is playing a top quality thing. But I also think that they will use him in the best ways they feel they can, which could mean he moves into safety some or plays multiple positions. It's all possible, right? So I don't dislike the move, but it's definitely not the best move of what he's done. I think as far as the signings, I would rank Ogunjobi right there, because even though he played hurt a lot, the guy played. He didn't produce a ton of sacks, but he was just a beast on that side of the line. And it was decent quality play. And with Tyson Alualu getting older, with the injury to Wormley, you needed that stability within that defensive line unit, so that you didn't feel like, oh God, I got to draft a defensive lineman high because we desperately need a guy.
Yeah, and then force him to play like week one, a rookie. And speaking of the trenches, we passed over mentioning another guy that was added on the offensive line side, Raven Clark.
Yeah, that's because I'm not saying his name. Mentioning it. I'm not saying it. I'm just going to call him Clark.
Clark. Hey, Clark.
Hey, Clark. How you doing, Clarky?
That there's an RV.
Oh, Clark.
Oh, Clark.
I mean, again, I think it's a good signing. Is it a great signing? Is it a big deal? No, I like Herbig. I like the Herbig, whatever his name is. I like
Herbie.
That signing.
Herbie.
I like that signing slightly better. But again, it's depth. It keeps them in a solid position if somebody does get banged up, just somebody does get hurt.
Yeah, and I mean the Ogunjobi thing, and the reason I like that too is because I'm in on DeMarvin Leal still.
Oh, so a big time. Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, like, being able to get some guys that can imagine they draft another one with these top three that could be in that rotation, be young, and you got like two like real young bucks ready to just shore up whenever Cam Hayward or Ogunjobi might be down the road 2 years, 3 years, or whatever, may no longer be in their heyday, or maybe retired for that matter. So I like that. And even more so, Brian, there's some folks that are like, oh, well, they keep putting edge rusher, like these third round edge rushers and stuff. The likelihood of finding another Alex Highsmith the same way, I don't think is very likely. No. I would like that if they were able to do a deal and extend them. I mean, a 14.5 sack season precludes, like, hey, if I could produce like that again, I'm going to get like a pretty big payday, and hopefully that's something that could fit in the budget. I think with the offensive players not all coming up for big contracts and stuff like that right now just yet on the horizon, that's something that they might be able to do. They're not paying a quarterback 40, 50, 65 million dollars or whatever as a cap hit, et cetera, et cetera. So that might still fit in there. But if they can get something done with Bud Dupree, and Jerry Dulac was very much a smartass in his reply and saying nothing was offered yet. But I think Jerry is very plugged into knowing that something is there.
This is my take.
That would be one hell of a signing. It wouldn't be the biggest signing, but it would encapsulate everything that's been done. Oh. It would be the cherry on the top, man.
Look, I never wanted Bud to leave. You know that. I know that. I have said all along, if Bud comes back, as long as he understands his role, I think that can be great. And here's the thing. Bud Dupree is not either one of those guys that they've signed as edge backup guys. Who was the guy 2 years ago that had a fit and whatever, and we had to give him to Kansas City?
He who shall not be named, that wore 8, which is a goofy number for a linebacker. Melvin Ingram.
Melvin Ingram. All right.
Yes.
Bud Dupree doesn't have that attitude. He's never come off that way. He's never portrayed himself as bigger than life in the sense of that he's much more, or has always seemed to be much more of a team-oriented guy. Sure, he went and tried to get paid. Everybody's going to try and get paid, right? And if the Steelers had been able to offer up the kind of money they felt was necessary, maybe they would have. But he also has an injury history. I don't think he's built to be a full-time player, at least at this point in his career. I think as a backup, as the stopgap, as the third guy in the rotation, he can play either side. I said it when we thought he was going to get cut, I said if they bring him in and he knows his role, I think it's a fantastic addition.
Yeah, I tell you, and it's hard to not get excited because we always talk about you can't have like all-star.
We just remember that hit on that Miami quarterback. That's all. That's it. It's like, oh, that was Bud Dupree.
Matt Moore. So yeah, Ryan Tannehill was already out, and then that was Matt Moore, and that was Adam Gase was the head coach then too. Jeez, TJ Yates ended up coming in. And then Harrison was in on that too. Harrison had a strip sack. I mean, you talk about that game was cold as hell. But Antonio Brown taking it to the house, Lev Bell with all the rush yards. I mean, that was a team of destiny, and that sucks. And so was the 2020, man. The 2020 team where Bud ended up getting hurt and Bush got hurt, and it's just say what you will about Bush, but I think that just derailed his career as well.
There's a segue for you.
I know, and I'm right there. So you clean house there, man. No more Robert Spillane. No more guys that can't run or stay healthy, or as much as I love Miles Jack.
I don't know if we know about that yet, because both these guys have been injured, but
there's a little bit difference with a bone versus a muscle, especially like a knee. We're talking about two guys with knee problems with Miles Jack and with Devin Bush.
Devin Bush, yep.
So,
look, it's very clear that Devin Bush's value was not sky high. I mean, the best he could get is a 1-year deal with Seattle. I know it's a prove-it deal. I get it. Maybe he will. I know that somebody out there, some pontificator out there was like, oh, don't sleep on Devin Bush in Seattle. He's going to come back and have a hell of a year. You just wait and see. If he does, yeah, great. I just don't think he's that good anymore. And I think the injury took a lot out of him. And I don't think he has the confidence to do the things instinctually that he used to. I think there's something nagging in the back of his head because he's always a step off. But I wish him the best. I don't wish him any ill will, for sure. I like Holcomb, but the guy from Miami, dude, the guy from Miami, and I know he was from the Patriots first.
We don't mention that part.
That dude is nasty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's a thumper, man. And I mean, he's still a guy that can send on a blitz.
So psyched. I don't even care, right? I don't even care whether, he just needs to hit one guy one time, and I'm going to find a way to get him on that damn linebacker's helmet.
Nice. Did you get Bush on the helmet?
Bush is on the helmet.
Bush is on the helmet. I mean, that's more than fair. Did you get Jack by any chance?
I
don't think Jack signed, did
he? I just basically said no. He did a signing with our friends at TSE, but it was a private signing. So you have to mail in what you wanted. I don't mail that helmet in.
No, I wouldn't. That's a tough sell there. How many signatures do you know off the top of your head, or
I think there's 11 on there now. I mean, the only one that's missing that is I have in a separate helmet all by himself is Kevin Green, because I missed a chance to get Kevin Green on that helmet, and then he passed away kind of surprisingly. But I have a separate Kevin Green helmet, so it's like I'm covered. But TJ's on there. Lambert's on. I mean, everybody else is on there.
But there's all 11 of them. All the important guys, anyways.
Oh, the majors, like all the
Clark Haggans.
No, Clark Haggans is not on there. The one that's missing that I need to find, but he never signs, is Potsy.
Yeah, I had a feeling. But like Jason Gilden, Greg Lloyd.
Jason Gilden's on there. Greg Lloyd's on there. Debo's on there. TJ's on there. Alex is not on there yet. But again, he hasn't done a public signing recently. And if I find a public signing, I'll get Alex Highsmith on there too.
I'm just gonna have to give a shout out to Sam of the Highsmith clan there.
Dude's awesome. I love that guy.
And he'll hook you up maybe. But yeah, the interior of they'll add a linebacker, I think, in the draft.
They will,
without a doubt. And Mark Robinson. He's gonna get some PT, I think.
Yep.
He got some just by virtue of the guys not being able to play, whether it was performance or injury at the end of last season. He got 2 starts against the Ravens and the Browns. Yep. And those were 2 run-oriented teams, so they weren't afraid to put him out there. Now, as far as his coverage skills, and the same thing with like Roberts, The professor in the back room said a great thing the other day, and it kind of reminded me of a comment I saw. I don't think it was in our comment section. I think it was on Twitter on one of the Steelers main posts or something. And they're saying, "Oh, well, they should have moved up to draft Devin White instead." I'm like, they moved from 20 to 10, and everyone thought they fleeced the Denver Broncos to do that for Bush, the guy that was left over. We weren't sure which one was going to be there maybe at 10. They weren't going to make it from 10 to 20. We knew that much. But name somebody besides that. Even Devin White doesn't fit into the category of coverage linebacker. Nope. There's Tremaine Edmonds, maybe. Like, there's not a lot of guys right now, the way these offenses are set up to attack the defenses, that are just roaming around the middle of the field. I mean, I think we talked about this before, or at least myself and Zachadonia. Ryan Shazier, he was in pursuit a lot of times too. It's just, that's a weakness. When you get a linebacker in coverage, that's a weakness.
Especially
that's all
when you put him on wide receivers. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of the tight ends are just big wide receivers anymore, because they're fast, they're sneaky, they're it's hard. I pity those guys.
Oh yeah, and it's not like the rules are set up in favor of defense.
Oh yeah, God.
I mean? None of that stuff concerns me because of everything else that they've done. Right?
Yeah.
The secondary.
There's a couple more signs. No, is there two more that we have to talk about, or is it just the last one?
We throw in Patrick Peterson, of course.
Yeah.
And then there was all the talk of
John Wick. We signed John Wick. When? We signed Keanu.
Oh, that one.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's John Wick. We signed John Wick.
The Baba Yaga. Seeing you, Brian.
The Baba Yaga.
I'm not over the moon. They brought KZ back.
Yes,
I'm very happy about that. And then when I was thinking they brought KZ back and offer him a 2-year deal, I'm like, where does this leave Edmonds? And it probably leaves Edmonds where the reason he signed with the Eagles is because there was some backdoor conversation about, well, you're going to take a reduced role this year, and that's where I was starting to feel KZ might be a starter, but everybody kind of just filled in that gap, and including a little bit of sound bites here ourselves was, well, Patrick Peterson might make this conversion and play safety. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean,
that's not what they got.
No, exactly.
He might do some when they do some of their very unique, different, lineups in the back end, but no, that's not why they brought they brought him to play a corner position.
Exactly. And they still got Witherspoon and Wallace, and whichever one wins the other job, and Peterson will probably be a primary guy.
Yeah.
And they still have Arthur Millette to play as your nickel corner. They're not hurting there. And then through all of this, everybody just overlooks that there's Minkah Fitzpatrick there. You know what I mean? He's just, hey, look at that guy. You know what I mean? Nothing big to mention, just good old Minkah. But whoever you put next to him, okay, that's great. But now you add, okay, everybody else is like Keanu Neal. Oh, well, he sucks in coverage. And, the Cowboys tried to make him a linebacker. And great. That's the Leonardo DiCaprio, like the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood deal. And it's the meme. He's pointing at the TV. And it's like, yes, the hybrid player. It's like that Marcus Allen dude that you never heard of and won't hear of again. That's what you need him there for. And that's what he's going to be. He's going to be depth. Well, he can't stay healthy. He's not going to be a starter. In fact, depending on the draft, you still got Trey Norwood. You still got Miles Killebrew as a special teamer. There's times this team is only kept 4 safeties. Dude might not even make the team. So Let's not count our chickens before they hatch. But I'd like at least bringing in somebody, former Pro Bowler, a dude that was really good, lived up to his draft pedigree for the most part his first 2 years in the league with Atlanta, and has a ton of experience. Hell yeah, welcome aboard, dude.
Absolutely.
He's younger than Casey. He's 28. I think Casey's 30 now, so it's that makes a lot of sense. This isn't like
miles on his tread is worn. He doesn't have the full quarter-inch tread that they went on your tires, but he is. I don't even remember who it was. I just remember he blew the hell up out of somebody in a goal line situation and just stomped the crap out. I mean, just blew him the hell up. So I'm glad he's here.
Yeah. I mean, this is totally, when I was looking at that list and we were talking about the angle that myself and Flash took was we're looking at all the extra free agents that were available that were safeties. And it was, well, would you rather have Edmonds or this guy? And obviously, I think we would have rather had Edmonds over Keanu Neal. But we wanted KZ back, and we weren't making that type of comparison. When you looked at the rest of the list, it was kind of slim pickings. But I'm looking and I'm like, well, there's a former first-round pick. I'm like, that's totally the type of Mike Tomlin move. The only reason I didn't blurt that out here for the general public to listen to be completely honest, what is this, his fourth or fifth team? I'm like, that's not usually when Tomlin and company pull the trigger on a guy with that type of draft pedigree. It's got to be at least the third team, otherwise I think they feel they're damaged goods, so to speak. So it's like a Tyson Alualu, for example, or Joe Hayden or something. It's like plucking him fresh off the team that it didn't work out with. Well, Joe Hayden did fine with the Browns. He just was banged up here or there. And I'll never understand why they got rid of him, to be honest. It was just, that was a gift. Browns. Yeah, of course.
Sorry, Charles, but they're the Browns.
They are, and they will always be the Browns. And it's just, when you take a look at this, I think the secondary, everything we just said, you could say, okay, there's a deficiency here or there. Patrick Peterson's old, Levi Wallace and Witherspoon are not the greatest, but okay, we've just added Joey Porter Jr., insert him into this depth chart, or insert, let's say, Christian Gonzalez, or insert Brian Branch into this, scheme. That changes your whole outlook on the entire thing, man. So it's like, I like the way they've positioned themselves, because it's not over with yet.
You just went,
by any means.
You just went into your inner Jack Nicholson there, man.
Oh, did I?
You did. You're like, you had your whole, like, a little inner Jack Nicholson was coming out. I was waiting for you to be like, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And I was going to be like, well, nice to see you this week, Joe, but I'm out of here.
Where does he get those things? Or where does he get those wonderful toys? See, I'm a Joker, 1989 Batman, Jack Nicholson. I think that's my, whenever I think of Jack Nicholson, that's top of his game, what I'm thinking. So, not to disparage anything else he's done. He's done lots of great stuff, obviously. But yeah, lots of quotes. That's a very quotable movie too. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
I'm not going there.
Ask that of my subjects. So, Beauty and the Beast.
Do you really ask them?
If anyone else calls you Beast, slit their throat. That's great. But yeah, man, Brian Branch. I mean, the safety group isn't, I don't know, like, it's
not the biggest.
Nah.
No.
Just like you said with tackle, there's a couple of guys, and tackles are always a premium. Teams are always looking to pull the trigger on them and use their draft capital to protect their quarterback, of course. So it's like, you could see, like, there has to be a tough decision there with that first pick for them to be like, okay, tackle. It's not just going to be, okay, the fourth best tackle is still on the board. Let's take that guy. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like safety. It's kind of like Brian Branch, and then I think that's it. Yeah.
There you go.
Falls off a cliff.
He'll go in the first round. I'm almost positive. But that's the only safety I see going round one for sure. There could be as many as 5 corners that go in round one. Could be. I'm not saying will, but could be.
Well, that's why I think corner would be a bigger target, is just based on the dearth.
Yeah.
Right word. The dearth.
Well, yeah. Once you get
even
past
getting to 32, there might not be one of those guys.
May not
really
be one of those guys
32.
left. That's right. There may not be one of those guys left at 17. To be fair, but it is. There's just a lot of volatility about where things are going to happen and whatnot. All I can tell you is at 17, there's going to be a player. Whether and to tell you what I think they'll do, I think they're going to go defense. I think it will be either a corner or a defensive lineman. But if the right wide receiver's there and they can't pass them up, maybe. But they just don't draft wide receivers in the first round either. That is just not
those
one
other
of those
two
things.
Those other 2 second round picks are just screaming like, I don't know if the UNC kid ends up down there or Addison ends up down there or something, but there's still enough.
You know what there is? there's a lot of Deontay Johnsons in this draft. There are a
I don't know,
lot
is
of
that
guys.
good or a bad thing?
It's neither one, right? They're quality receivers, but you got that guy. And you don't need another one of that guy. So it's really hard to say. There are a couple receivers in this group that I think if we're there at 17 and that was the best player, I would jump on. There are definitely guys in this group that if they fell out of the first round and were there at the beginning of the second, like, look, if Jackson Smith-Njigba is there at 32 and you don't take him, I will maybe burn my draft hat.
Nice cap. I got mine, and I was like, Brian's probably got his, and we went to fire up. I'm like, you SOB.
I got my draft cap. I got my draft shirt. I'm going to have draft day on the damn screen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until the draft happens. Getting myself
draft day
psyched.
It's such if somebody would just go, well, actually they did, but they got Deshaun Watson instead of actually just the guy on the post-it card instead of doing what Kevin Costner did.
Well, I mean, that movie is my inspiration for mock draft insanities. Which,
that's coming soon.
Hopefully we figure out how the hell to do it.
We'll get one or two. Don't worry, I'll help you. I have the know-how.
You have the technology. You can make me better than I am.
I can make you better. Yes, bigger, faster, stronger, better.
I'm pretty big, and I'm not fast, but I'm pretty strong. So
don't make Brian angry. He'll just get a bigger headache. But like you were saying, like Quentin Johnson, okay, TCU, Jackson Smith, and Jigba.
That guy's there at 17. Boom, I'm done.
Zay Flowers, Boston College, Jordan Addison, USC, Josh Downs, UNC, Nathaniel Dell. They did just look at was it Nathaniel Dell they just went and saw too at Houston? Yeah. And then now you start to get into some of the smaller school guys, like you're saying, 6'1", 204, Rashee Rice, like SMU, and some of the guys are looking like third rounders. Like there's the one kid, Tyler Scott from Cincinnati, 5'10", 177, Parker Washington, Penn State, 5'10", 204. They're all, like you said, in that type of category. Not that that's a bad thing, but they drafted Kelvin Austin last year. He was the third fastest player in the draft. If his injury didn't derail him or any of his rehabilitation, then he should still be a really fast, slippery dude. And he had hands in camp. You saw in the regular season the type of throws where, okay, Kenny Pickett, I think he has better accuracy than some guys, but I mean, Kenny Pickett was like the third in the pecking order during training camp. You have Mitch Trubisky throwing wherever the hell it's at. He's like spraying like a guy, that has like, I don't know, a shotgun versus like an actual.
That could have gone in so many bad places.
Oh, spraying all over the place. That's the way I picture Mitch when he drinks.
I don't want to know. Yeah, it's like, no, that's tamer than where you could have gone, but it's okay.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's like Deontay Johnson is like he is almost like breaks his neck trying to make one of these catches or something.
Oh yeah, because the ball is not where it should be.
It's wild. And Kelvin Austin was doing this same thing in camp, and the same thing with Mason Rudolph, and then Kenny Pickett doesn't have the biggest rapport with any of these guys. And Austin got a lot of reps because Deontay was doing his little quiet quit on the side, trying to get a new contract, trying to get an extension, so he wasn't fully practicing. So it was like I was very disheartened that he didn't get a chance to show his goods last year. So don't forget, he's still there as part of this. And myself and Flash will be talking a little bit about this. And I think we're going to actually go down more of this list. I don't want to bite off more than I'm going to leave to chew for him. So the Steelers, they have the picks that they have. They could add more. What if they trade back, Brian? And where do you trade back from? I think they'd trade back from 32 before they'd trade back from 17 personally, but it's not to preclude if somebody does a pick swap with that first rounder and gives them like a late third rounder or something. You've got all these new picks, compensatory and the minority hire. I don't know what it's called. They got
there will almost certainly be calls at 17 that offers to trade back. There will be offers to trade back depending on the corners that are there, depending on the defensive line that's there, depending on the edge guys who are still around, right? Depending on the tackles that are still there. They will have the opportunity to move back if they want to, and they probably will have the opportunity to move back in small jumps multiple times if they wanted to. and pick up picks all along the way, whether they're this year's picks or next year's picks. They will have those opportunities. The question is whether the opportunity is worth missing out on the player that is there. And that is where the question mark comes in. So, like, okay, you're sitting there. Let's say Joey Porter's there at 17 and whoever's at 19. I can't remember who's at 19.
Tampa Bay,
who also needs a corner, by the way. But let's say Tampa comes and says, "Hey, we want it. We'll give you something really nice and tasty to move back 2 spots." What if Joey Porter and Deonte Banks are both there when you're at 17? And you're like, well, okay, probably one of them would be there at 19 because maybe the Bucks, Tampa Bay really wants Joey, or maybe they really want Deonte Banks, whatever. You know what I mean? There's options that are going to be there because there are going to be teams that have needs that are going to be there at 17 that aren't going to be there at 19 or 22, like with Baltimore. In all of these simulations, and I've run, I don't even know how many, but, let me just, if there are any young children looking right now, turn the camera off for a second. Pro Football Focus, that's for you, my friends.
Dude, it was so funny you tweeted that out to it. That was Brian was saying they're number 11 with these 2 double birds. Yep. And I went on there. That was that earlier that same day, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this is behind a paywall now, like a mock draft simulator. Like the whole simulator isn't, but to do any customization of it,
anything.
Yeah, even if you want to speed the damn thing up, I think you got to pay for it.
Even if you want to run it twice, because if you run it once, that's your limit for the day. So screw you, PFF, PF fuckers. I'm out on you now. And plus your simulation stunk. Like it broke all the time. Freaking guys were falling into the 4th round that should never have been there. It was dumb. Your simulation's dumb. So then some other company, I don't remember who it was, Pro Football Network or something.
Yeah.
They threw it at me. They're like, "Oh, break ours." By the way, I did.
I think it was already broken.
Theirs is not. It's not quite as much
Focus.
fun.
Let's be real though. Pro Football Focus trying to charge for something that really wasn't even that great of a product to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I get it, and I know why they did it. It's because those videos. This is me being very vain and assuming everything is about me. But they did it because I posted those videos and made fun of their stupid simulator, and they're like, "Fine, you can't use it anymore."
Yeah, I was looking at the draft, like the value chart, right?
Yeah.
And the Steelers are sitting at 950. I'm going to pull this up. Give me a second. I'll put it on the screen for those of you that are watching the video feed of this, but I'll at least let those of you listening. So pick 17's at 950. Okay. Tampa Bay 875. So you've got a 125 point difference. So even if you try and give away, what's Tampa's 29 isn't enough. That 5th rounder, they're going to have to give something a little more juicy. Where else is Tampa Bay on this list? 3rd rounder somewhere. I don't want to give anybody any seizures from. Okay. So pick 82. 2 behind the Steelers, pick 80 in the 3rd round. That's 180. So there might have to be another pick swap as part of that. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you, both 1st rounders, a 3rd, then the 3rd for the 4th or something like that in order to make it equitable. Yeah.
It doesn't even need to be equitable. Omar. Look, my friend, Omar, just listen. Come in close, Omar. Listen, if somebody wants to move in the position, you screw equitable. Just stiff them. Get on the phone with them and be like, "I want my damn picks." Do the Kevin Costner on his ass. I don't want it to be fair. It needs to be imbalanced in the favor of the Steelers. If Tampa Bay wants to move up 2 spots, fine. We'll take 19 and next year's 2nd. That's it needs to be non-equitable.
I like that. Hey, look what he did with Chase Claypool, my friend. Say no more.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
fleece them.
Yes.
Fleece them.
And you know what's fun about this too is that I'll bring it up one more time. Between pick 17, 950, and then 32, it goes down to 500. So it goes from 950 to 590. Just flip some digits there, the first 2 digits. That's quite the That's almost cutting it. Well, not quite cutting it in half, but you're getting there. About 60-40, right? So behind that, then it starts to go like 10 points, 20 points, or whatever. So pretty much if anybody's in this back end of the first round wants to get up to 950, let's say you're Dallas, you got to go 250 points. You're looking at a third rounder no matter what. And Dallas's pick 90 is 140 worth in value, 140 points there. So that might not be enough to get it done. It's going to be a very interesting draft, and we'll see, because everybody always talks about, oh, we'll just fall back. But right behind them, okay, you got Detroit. I think Detroit isn't. I don't think they've got corner on their brain right now. I think they might be set there
earlier in the draft because they have another pick.
That's true too. So, yes, sir. They are at pick 6. Yep. So they could always move.
There you
back
go.
Too.
Pick
you never
6
know.
corner.
Yeah, but at 17, I don't think people are getting desperate for a quarterback. I think the big names should be gone. Although, it's going to be probably a defensive player.
Listen to me here.
A tackle.
That Levi kid.
Will Levis.
Yeah, that guy. He's an idiot. He's going to fall. He may fall all the way out of the first round. I'm telling you right now, he's not. There's going to be 3 quarterbacks for sure in the top 10, and he ain't going to be one of them.
No, I totally am with you, and I wonder where the insanity stops eventually with the quarterback position. Not only the amount of draft capital that's used for it, reaching up, and then also the money spent. And these trades that have happened, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. I mean, say what you will.
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers. Well, it's still not official,
I know,
but
not,
they're
going to get it done. They're going to get it done.
Eventually, yeah. It makes you wonder, like, what is going on there? But I'd be excited to see it. So, I mean, Detroit, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Los Angeles Chargers, Baltimore Ravens are the 5 right behind the Steelers, Minnesota Vikings, Jacksonville Jaguars, New York Giants. So, I mean, that could be some interesting stuff there. There might be some teams there with a few extra picks. I mean, the 49ers the 49ers don't have anything, I think, in the first 2 rounds, period, on kind of like when they went and got Trey Lance.
Yeah.
And most of theirs are those what's the word I'm looking for here? Resolution.
Can you listen to this? Just J2C, listen to that scenario.
Whatever it was.
49ers give up all of the world to get Trey Lance, and the way it looks right now, they start next season with Brock Purdy.
Oh, and just all the idiots who passed on Brock Purdy, even including the Steelers. Although I'm not going to say that Brock Purdy, I mean, that could be flashing like Nick Foles playoffs.
See what next year looks like. Jimmy G looked like a savior in the world playing half a season. And everybody thought he was the king of beans. I am not.
He didn't even throw as many passes as Mason Rudolph has in the NFL when he went to the Niners.
I was never in on that guy.
I was never in on Garoppolo.
Well, neither was I. I'm just telling you, I'm not in. I want to see a full season with defenses planning for him, and then I'll say, okay, yeah, they found a diamond in the rough. Right now, they found a kid that played a decent set of games.
Yeah, even Duck Hodges had a little bit of success here. Yeah,
exactly.
Right?
There you go.
But they're saying the 49ers, without a first or second rounder, they have 3 of these 2020 resolution JC-2A selections, which is like the minority coach hires. They have picks 99, 101, and 102. Like they got 3 or 4 in a row, which is pretty crazy. And there's a few teams out there that do not have anything in the first round as well. If I had to guess, I'm just going to say the Rams right off the top of my head. It's got to be one of them too. Well, you know, yeah, the Rams, they've got, they don't pick until 36. They've got 2 third rounders, 69 and 77. Raiders got all theirs, Chiefs got theirs. So I'll have to get more in depth with this as we go through some of the drafting things. The Texans have pick 2 and 12. The Lions have 2. I think the Seattle Seahawks have 2 on account of the Russell Wilson trade. Bears have 2 second rounders, 53 and 61. They've been maneuvering around. They might get a little aggressive too. You don't know. I don't know what they would go after. And that's what it all has to boil down to. Like the Atlanta Falcons have most of their original picks. They're pick 8 and they're like at 44. Who needs to move up and get ahead of what they might think the Steelers might take? That's what it all boils down to, we're up against it, my friend. We got this in. We're actually more structured than we thought we were going to be. Just talking ball. It's good to have you back, man. It's fun.
I miss being on the show. I miss people yelling at me in the comments and telling me I'm an idiot. I miss all that stuff.
All you gotta do is just show up. They'll probably still call you an idiot.
I was busy. I tried to give them little clips on the Twitterverse there, doing my little videos that I tweeted it out there, but nobody paid any damn attention to that. So whatever the hell the terms are, these kids and their Twitters and their tweets and their grams and all that crap.
TikToks.
No, that's
the
out.
Snaps.
I draw the line there. It's like Snapchat, TikTok. No, that's just dumb stuff. Forget it. I'm out.
Yeah, it's too much. I can't even really do Instagram, to be honest. Like Facebook and Twitter do enough, and I'm not even on both of those all the time. Every day.
I think I have 400 and something followers on Instagram. I don't do anything.
You don't post your bike. You don't post your biking. Follow me. I'm on the bike there. Or you only do that on Facebook.
I do that on Facebook, and then they end up on Instagram because Facebook bought Instagram. But it's like I don't purposely put hardly ever in. I don't think I've ever put anything purposely on Instagram, and I have 470 Instagram followers, and I'm like, why?
Let's blow them up. Let's get Brian.
Please don't blow me up.
Twitter followers. So
I wouldn't mind Twitter followers. I mean, I finally got over 1,000, but so I'm in that lofty air of over 1,000.
Social influencer Brian E. Roach.
Clearly not me. I am not socially influencing crap of anything.
All right, my friend. Well, folks, that'll do it for us. Thanks for tuning in. Wanted to get you another show at the end of this week. I know it only been popping out like one here or there because I don't know what next week's going to look like. Next week's going to be crazy. That's all I know. So it might be a little bit later in the week before we get you some more programming, but we will do so. We're going to be headed into the draft and talking about some of the various positions. And we already talked about like a whole bunch that the Steelers aren't probably looking at anything like quarterback.
Nope.
Draft another punter.
Nope.
Actually, they won't. No, they're not going to do that. I'll tell you what's going to happen there. Somebody that's camp casualty. In fact, the Broncos had just signed some veteran player. If he wasn't already cut, Corliss Waitman, I think, could be on his way back.
They did what I told him to do and drafted that guy from Ohio State. Told him to do that.
Yeah, he did okay. I mean,
but he's going to get better. You watch.
Yeah, that's just their luck, isn't it? I mean, some of these teams, though, they've used like a 4th round pick on a punter in the past and haven't had it.
Well, we did. What was Daniel Sepulveda?
Daniel Sepulveda, I think he was, or a 5th rounder, right? He was
high for a punter. It was like, whoa, what are we doing drafting a punter there? Well, that was right after the years of like the panic mode where we had that guy who could punt the ball like 8 yards.
That's every other season other than Sepulveda as of late. You know,
Man,
I mean, he was the last good.
I don't even want to talk about our big fat punter.
Fourth round, pick 112.
There you go.
That's I think he maybe been drafted higher than like Kelvin Austin or even Dan Moore for that matter, like in that same category. But anyways, we're up against it. Let's put a bow on the show. We'll talk to everyone later. Thank you for supporting Steel City Underground. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Leave a rating, review wherever you may be. My name's Joe. His name's Brian. Until next time, we encourage everyone out there to be safe, be good. We'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.